Hello, welcome to week 2. We're going to get started reading right away. We have a good chunk of reading to accomplish tonight. We're getting started on chapter 7. I know you are, but what am I? Page 63. And we're going to read through chapter 14. So if you're watching the replay, you can read along and listen, or you can read those chapters and catch up with us. I'm going to read 2-ish pages and then I'll pick the next reader. So anybody available to read, you can just virtually raise your hand and I'll call on you next. Chapter 7. I know you are, but what am I? I'm not offended by all the dumb blonde jokes because I know I'm not dumb. I also know I'm not blonde. Dolly Parton, singer, songwriter, actress, altruist, businesswoman, bright, shiny light. A friend of mine, a brilliant writer, once called me in a panic when she suddenly became frozen with fear over the subject matter of the book she was working on and could no longer bring herself to write it. Her book was, among many other splendid things, very personal, dark, and twisted, and my friend was concerned that it was too much, that it was crossing the line, that she was exposing herself as a giant weirdo pervert freak. This brings up something that's so important to have a firm grasp on. If you're going to get anywhere near reaching your full potential in this life as a writer, an artist, a business person, a parent, a butcher, a baker, a candlestick maker, or as a fully realized and evolved human being in general, do not waste your precious time giving one single crap about what anybody else thinks of you. Oh, there's people in the waiting room. Imagine how liberating that would be. Other people's opinions motivate every move we make in our teens and our 20s. And as we age, if we're moving in the right direction, our obsession with how we're perceived by others begins to trickle away. But very few of us are able to escape its pointless grasp completely. Meanwhile, the truth is, the only questions you ever need to consider when making decisions about your life are: 1. Is this something I want to be, do, or have? 2. Is this going to take me in the direction I want to go, not should go? 3. Is this going to screw over anyone else in the process? The definition of screwing someone over is taking their money and doing a lousy job, or destroying their water source, or enslaving populations, things like that. Your mother being disappointed or your father disapproving of your friends being outraged does not qualify as screwing someone over. Hey guys, if you're just hopping on, we are on page 65. We throw a wet blanket of ho-hummery over our lives when we live in fear of what others might think, instead of in celebration of who we are. Yes, it's part of our survival instinct to care, get booted from the tribe, and you'll freeze to death or starve or be eaten by wolves. But because we have big brains and the ability to manifest anything we set our minds to, there is another version that's equally plausible. Get booted from the tribe and start or find another tribe that's more your style. You can not only wind up, let me see if I can mute that. There we go. You could not only wind up doing what you love, surrounded by people you adore who you actually relate to, but you might one day realize you can no longer remember the names of the people whose approval you so desperately thought you would die without. Nobody who ever accomplished anything big or new or worth raising a celebratory fist in the air did it from their comfort zone. They risked ridicule and failure and sometimes even death. Think of the Wright brothers. Can you imagine how that whole thing went down? Margaret, did you hear about poor Susan? Susan Wright? Such a disgrace. Poor thing. What happened? Well, her sons, as if she hasn't suffered enough, birthing 2 boys as big as buffaloes, and now this. Seems her 2 sons. You gonna eat the rest of your tapioca pudding? Mind if I help myself? Tell me already, Margaret. Well, this is going to sound as crazy as it is, but and now her sons think they can fly. Such a shame. Her sons think they can fly? Yes, they think they can fly. They talk of nothing else. She just had the house painted too. They'll probably have to move out of town now. Okay, Debbie, you want to turn to read?
Thank you. Once you step away from the herd and let your true self shine, you'll probably find yourself in front of the opinion firing squad, especially if what you want to do is extraordinary and outside of everyone's comfort zones, which is why so many people run screaming from the lives they'd love to live. Merely allowing yourself to be seen is a risk. I mean, look at how we treat celebrities. Their every move is picked apart and passed around and discussed and judged and photographed without makeup on. It's a wonder that only half of them spend time in rehab. You are responsible for what you say and do. You are not responsible for whether or not people freak out about it. Ooh, that's powerful today. Two people can walk out of the same movie, one person clinging to the walls, bloodshot and devastated, leaving a trail of tissues, more moved by this film than any other film in the history of cinema, while the other person goes marching up to the ticket counter and demands her money back because she thought it was the worst piece of garbage to ever be projected onto a screen. One movie, two very different experiences. Why? Because it's not about the movie, it's about the movie goers. What other people think about you has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. The trick is to not only deny the criticism any power over you, but even more challenging, to not get caught up in the praise. Excuse me. There's nothing wrong with blushingly accept a compliment, but if you find yourself always seeking outside approval that you're good enough or cool enough or talented enough or worthy enough, you're screwed. Because if you base your self-worth on what everyone else thinks of you, you hand all your power over to other people and become dependent on a source outside of yourself for validation. Then you wind up chasing after something you have no control over. And should that something suddenly place its focus somewhere else or change its mind and decide you're no longer very interesting, you end up with a full-blown identity crisis. All that matters is what's true for you. And if you can stay connected to that without straying, you will be a mighty superhero. Everything else is just other people's perception of reality, and that is none of your business. So, how can you truly not care what other people think and be your most powerful self? Do you want me to keep going? Yes. One, ask yourself why. Why are you about to say or do something? Is it to be liked? To put someone down because you feel insecure? To get someone back because they made a fat joke about your mother? Or is it coming from a place of strength and truth? Are you doing it because it'll be fun? Because you feel called to do it? Because it'll change someone else's life in a positive, martyr, or free way? Pay attention to your motivations. Be honest. Practice coming from a place of integrity and you will be victorious. Number two, always do your best. There's no faster way to fall prey to outside input than when you are feeling insecure. And there's no better way to feel insecure than knowing you half-ass something or don't really believe in what you're doing. No matter what it is, raising your prices or raising your children, if you do the absolute best you possibly can and come from a place of integrity, then you can be proud of yourself and not give a damn what anyone else thinks. Ooh, Yvonne, would you like to read?
I would, but unfortunately I just joined, so I'm not sure where you're at.
Oh, that's okay. We're on page 69.
Um,
And if anybody else wants a turn to read, you can just do the virtual hand raise. There's usually a button like in the chat menu.
okay, is it after the questions? The only reason why I'm asking is because I have the Kindle version, not the book.
Oh, that's okay. We'll let you get settled and we'll have Brandy read. She just raised her hand
All
too.
right, sounds good, thank you.
Or Anna Banana. Whoever unmutes the fastest. Brandy, I see Brandy's
Okay,
camera moving.
okay, I need to get my cheaters. Go ahead, Anna, I'll go next.
Okay.
Okay. So the top of page 69, number 3, trust your intuition. Birds use their intuition to navigate their way to breeding grounds halfway around the world. Deer and rabbits and other prey type beasts use their intuition to avoid running into predators. The average human, on the other hand, will take the advice of their drunk before noon neighbor across the street Oh, this is funny. Instead of doing what deep down we know is best. How many times have you thought in hindsight, I knew I should have listened to my gut? You have an incredible inner guidance tool that you can use whenever you need it. Tell everyone to shut up and go away. Get quiet. Give yourself room to feel and think. You have all the answers inside of you. Practice sharpening your intuition. Take the time to strengthen your connection to source energy and trust that you know what's best for you. The more centered and tuned in you are, the mightier you will be. Look for more tips on how to do this later in this book. Number 4, find a temporary role model. Find a mentor or a hero or a role model. Get clear on why this person is impressive and inspiring to you. And when faced with a challenge that leaves you guessing how to react, ask yourself, what would my hero do? Not caring what others think is a muscle that can take some time to build up. So use this trick while you're still getting strong, and before you know it, you'll be able to ditch your hero and start asking yourself, what would I do? Number 5, love yourself, no matter what anyone else thinks. Important note about outside opinions. While you are unauthorized to base your self-worth on what other people think, it doesn't mean you should miss out on the opportunity to benefit from outside input altogether, especially input from those who know you well. There is such a thing as constructive criticism and constructive complimenting, but whether or not they are constructive depends on you. For example, if people have been telling you for years that you're a hothead, that they feel like they can't be open with you because the second you disagree with them, you blow up in their faces, ask yourself, is this true? Be honest. Can I use this information to better myself and the lives of others? If the answer is yes, commit to making the necessary changes. If the answer is no, let it go. Same goes for compliments. If people constantly tell you you're a good listener, ask yourself, is this compliment true for me? Can I use this information to better myself and the lives of others? Again, if the answer is yes, figure out how you can capitalize on it. If the answer is no, let it go. Sometimes it's easier for other people to see what we can't see in ourselves. So if they can help us connect with our truths and live happier, more authentic lives, then it's worth taking the time to listen. It still ultimately comes down to what's true for you, however, so the more connected to your inner truth you are, the easier it will be to use outside opinions to your advantage, rather than let them rule your life. Should I go on?
All right, you want me
Reader?
to go next? Okay. Chapter 8. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. What are you doing here? The big question is whether you're going to be able to say a hearty yes to your adventure. By Joseph Campbell, American mythologist. Ooh, author whose books influenced the making of Star Wars. All right, getting clear about what your unique purpose is can be the difference between living a happy, fulfilled life of abundance, choice, and expansiveness, or living in the restrictive veil pen of your own indecision and tired old excuses. A gift, of course, is meant to be given, which is why it is so brutal when we can't figure out what ours is, or when we know what it is, but we're too lame to act on it. Here we have the perfect gift to share with the world, just bursting to be opened, and we keep it sitting there, wrapped tightly in a box, growing old and gathering dust. Oh, the waste, the agony. Meanwhile, the joy of giving someone the perfect gift is unparalleled. We all know how it feels, hopping back and forth from foot to foot, wringing our hands, practically peeing in our pants, begging them to open it. Open it already. Jesus H. Christ. Here, let me friggin' do it. The power of giving is so strong that the excitement and the good feelings are often greater for the giver than the receiver, which is why when you find your calling and you design your life in such a way that you can share your gifts with the world on a consistent basis, you feel like a rock star. When we share what we were brought here to give, we are in alignment with our highest, most powerful selves. Whew, that is so true. And I know a lot of us can say that. Most people, however, wander through their lives giving the tasteful candle version of their gifts. You know, they don't show up to the party empty-handed or anything. They present their somewhat flaccid gift to the world, receive a warm hug and an, oh, you shouldn't have in return, but they don't knock it out of the park. For example, they get a job doing something that they either hate or that's a bit of a yawn, but is, okay. It affords them a life that covers the basics as long as they don't go too crazy. They do fun stuff, but not as much as they'd like because they don't have the money or the time or the belief that they deserve to. They have little victories here and there. They meet their sales quota and win the 6-day cruise to the Bahamas, or they rack up enough miles to go stay with their aunt and see the Olympics, or finally sit down and write an entire song that they may or may not have ever recorded that they may or may not ever record or perform, but they never truly go for it and create a life that really lights them up. They basically big snooze their lives away. Every single person is born with unique and valuable gifts to share with the world. Once we figure out what ours are and decide to live our lives putting them to use, that's when, and only when, the real party begins. Living a life on purpose is available to everyone. So if you're struggling or settling or completely confused about what you're supposed to do with your life, know that the answer is already here. It exists, and so does the life you can't wait to create. You just need to get some clarity first. There are entire books written on finding your calling, some of the best of which I share in the resources section in the back of this book and on my website. But the following are a few of my favorite tips. Keep in mind, there's no right way to go about this. Everyone's journey is unique, but we're all trying to get to the same place. The place where we feel the happiest, the most alive, and the most like ourselves. Even if you've nailed the perfect career for yourself, read on, because these tips can help you in all areas of your life. How to get clear on who you are and what your calling is. And you want me to keep going, Melissa? I don't mind. I don't know how many hands we have.
If Yvonne's ready, she can go next.
Yvonne, you ready?
I am ready.
All right.
1, be the alien. Imagine that you're an alien floating around in outer space and you suddenly swoop down to Earth and inhabit your own body. As the alien, everything about this life is new to you. You look around, what do you see? What is this person who you've inhabited so obviously awesome at? What do they have the most fun doing? What connections do they have? What resources and opportunities are available to them? As the alien to whom everything is new and exciting and there's nothing at risk and no past to lug around, what are you going to do with this incredible new life you've stepped into? How are you going to use this new body and this existence to create something fabulous and awesome starting right now? This exercise is hugely helpful for getting a new perspective and stepping outside our boring ass ruts of tired old excuses and lame habits. It can also be very useful in making you aware of all the staggering possibilities and resources that you have at your fingertips and take for granted or do not see. Sometimes this is as simple as looking at things with new eyes to see how astoundingly fortunate we are. Be the alien for 24 hours and see what you come up with. 2, take the first right step. Instead of wasting hours and days and years trying to figure out your perfect next move, just do something already. All the time we waste rolling ideas around in our heads, imagining what ifs, coming up with perfect reasons why, and then perfect reasons why not. Tearing at our cuticles, making our friends and family carefully screen their calls in case it's us again. Wanting to go over some ideas. Get out of your head and take action. You don't have to know exactly what it's going to take you, where it's going to take you. You just need to start with one thing that feels right and keep following right feeling things and see where they lead. Most answers reveal themselves through doing, not thinking. When I discovered my calling as a coach, I was ironically in the midst of a lifelong obsession with figuring out what the hell my purpose was. While I always knew writing was part of it, I also knew I wasn't meant to spend my life locked away in a silent room alone and half crazed, wrestling words into submission. I wanted something that A, involved interacting with other people, B, helped people in some sort of direct way, C, was really fun, and D, forced me to bathe, dress, and leave my house. That's about all I had to go on. That and my intense desire to figure it out. So when a friend told me I should check out a woman's, oh, this will be fun, entrepreneurial think tank group that had just started up, I figured I'd go. We were all supposed to bring a project to work on, but I had nothing. Just the hope that I'd get some ideas from something someone else brought to the table. After sitting there for 4 weeks, watching this room full of women figure out what they love to do and turn their brilliant ideas into businesses or grow the business they already had, I still had no project of my own, but I did know what I wanted to do. I went up and asked the facilitator if she needed any help, which she did. She hired me, and I started leading these groups, which after a few years led to me starting my own coaching practice, which led to me working with clients all over the world, which led to me sitting at the kitchen counter writing this book. No matter how clueless you may feel right now, pay attention to suggestions and opportunities that suddenly present themselves and notice how you feel. Is there something for you that for whatever reason feels like it might be good to check out? What have you been saying forever that you'd love to do? Has somebody mentioned a course or a teacher or a book that keeps sticking in your mind? Take the first step in the direction towards something that feels right and see where it leads you. And do it now.
Thank you. My turn. Number 3, do your best wherever you're at. Once you take this first step, it's possible that you won't land in your dream situation right away. You might land on a stepping stone. It could be an awesome stepping stone, or it could be a kind of an unpleasant stepping stone. But no matter where your first step lands you, if you want to keep moving forward, appreciate wherever you're at instead of feeling ashamed or grouchy or impatient about it. Everything you do along your journey contributes to where you're going. Let's say you've decided that you're going to go after your fantasy of being a rock star, and you take a job waiting tables so you have the flexibility to travel and play gigs and go in the studio. Clearly, your calling is playing music, not being concerned that some whiny customer's French onion soup is allegedly too cold. but it's essential that you care anyway. Having a good attitude and being grateful for all the things that are helping you live the life of your dreams will not only make your life a more pleasant place to be and get you bigger tips, but it will also raise your frequency and attract the people and opportunities to you that will take you in the direction you want to go. This is where really being present in the moment comes in handy. Granted, you may not be on stage in front of thousands doing a split in the air, but remember that you are going for it. You are bravely moving toward your dream. You are surrounded by unthinkable miracles and opportunities. Lean back, relax, and be grateful that you're living on purpose, that you're hanging out in a high frequency, and that everything you need is zooming towards you. Number 4, don't reinvent the wheel. Look around and see what other people out there are doing. Whose life makes you totally jealous? What things are people doing that you would love to do too? Who do you think is the coolest person ever? You don't need to invent your ideal life from scratch. You just need to figure out what makes you feel alive. So if that's someone so if what someone else is doing sparks your interest, take notice. It could mean that your calling has something in common with theirs. Get specific about the things in their lives that turn you on. Is it because they get to travel the world? Is it that they have a solid routine? Is it that they have no routine? Is it that they work alone? That they work in the nude? That they get to be outside all day? That they work with their hands, their eyes, their ears, their animals, their spouse? The more specific you get, the easier it will become to create a picture of what you want. Read magazines that interest you. Talk to as many people as you can. Hang out in places where people who share your interests hang out. Put yourself out there, and you never know what you might learn that will inform your next move or whom you might meet that will present you with your next opportunity. Debbie.
Number 5, don't get caught up in the thunderbolt hype. I think one of the most paralyzing misconceptions is that we're all supposed to have one true calling that comes to us in a mighty flash of soul-defining insight. While there are those people who always know exactly what they want to do, there are a hell of a lot more of us out there who spend most of our lives, if not all of our lives, wandering around looking under rocks and behind trees for who we are. Let yourself off the hook if you don't have that one big, perfect thing that you know you came here to do. Same goes for finding the one big, perfect soulmate, by the way, and feel good about the fact that you'll probably fulfill several callings throughout your life and possibly relationships. If you think about it, it makes more sense to evolve as you age anyway. When I think about who I was in my 20s compared to who I am now, I can't imagine anything more unappealing than going after some of the things that resonated with me back then. Follow what feels good in the moment, every moment, and it will lead you through a most excellent life. Number 6, listen to your intuition. If you really want to get in touch with who you are and what you love to do, and who you love to do it with, dedicate some time to tuning into your intuition. One of the best ways to do this is to spend 5 minutes of quiet by yourself every day. We spend the vast majority of our time moving at full speed ahead, both physically and mentally, and we literally bulldoze over the very answers we're seeking because they can't be heard above the din. When you sit quietly and ask, you get an answer. Eventually stick with it, be patient, and wait to hear from your inner guidance. You have all the answers you need. You just need to give them the chance to get through to you. Number 7, follow your fantasies. Now that I've given you all the kinder, gentler ways to figure yourself out, I'm going to suggest something you're probably not going to like so much. Jump in the deep end and follow your fantasies. What do you fantasize about when you're staring out the window of a train, or before you go to sleep at night, or when you're pretending to listen to someone really boring talk your ear off? Are you on stage doing stand-up comedy in front of thousands of hysterical fans? Are you surrounded by your beautiful children in the coziest, happiest home ever? Are you being celebrated for building orphanages around the world? Do this exercise as if money were not an issue. Tap into what brings you joy, great joy, instead of what you think you need to do to survive. If you had an unlimited supply of cash, what would you spend your life doing? Our fantasies are the most revealing peepholes into who we are and what we think is awesome. No matter how out there and ridiculous they may seem, they mean something to us and usually represent our biggest and best versions of ourselves, our fantasies, our realities in an excuse-free world. Want me to finish that?
Sure.
Meanwhile, we'd all be mortified if anyone could read our minds and catch us in the act. I know it's totally stupid. I want to sing on Broadway. Well, is it really stupid? Someone's out there doing it, so why couldn't you? Much of the time we pretend we aren't clear on what our calling is, when what's really going on is that we're horrified to face it because it seems too big or impossible to make a living at or completely out of the question for us. But what if you had the audacity to leave your excuses and your shame about wanting to be huge and fabulous behind and really went for it full on anyway? What if you decided to do the most outrageous and most exciting thing you ever dared fantasized about, regardless of what anyone, including your terrified self, thought? That would be living. And number 8, love yourself. Like you're the only one, like you're the only you there is. Sorry. Anna.
Loincloth man. Is it better to be hated for what you are than to be loved for what you are not? Andre Gide, French author, Nobel Prize winner, fearless self-explorer. Every May, I go backpacking through the desert wilderness areas of southeast Utah with 2 longtime friends of mine. It's one of the most magnificent and bizarre places I've ever been. Giant, jagged, obscenely pink ridges of rock jut out of the ground like huge slabs of raw meat. White, yellow, and purple towers of sandstone stretch and twist into sculptures made of taffy. Deep cracks in the earth's surface form cathedral-like slot canyons whose walls, smoothed over from flash floods and sandstorms, change colors from moment to moment as the sun's rays shift through the narrow opening high above. It's like the moon, only cooler. We merrily trip through this alternative universe, picking up colorful rocks, climbing around on boulders, and arguing over which eagle or snake or mountain goat should be awarded creature of the day. Because my friends are such excellent navigators, we go deep into the wilderness areas where there are no trails and even fewer people. In the 16 years we've been hiking out there, we could practically count the people we bumped into while backpacking on one hand, which was why I was so surprised and dubious when my friend Tom, who'd gone ahead to find us a place to set up camp for the night, reported that he'd seen someone. I just met this really wild guy, he said, when I caught up with him. He was wearing nothing but a loincloth and a headband. He was holding a spear, too. Said he'd been living in the canyon for 13 years. Was he riding a magic dragon? I'm serious. So where is he? He went off to check his squirrel trap, but he could come back. Tom is a lousy liar, and wherever he was taking this joke, he wasn't getting to the punchline fast enough. So I put down my pack and started assembling my tent, only half listening to him. A few minutes into it, I was bending over to hammer in one of my stakes. I looked through my legs and saw a pair of tanned feet in homemade sandals, strong, naked legs, and a dead squirrel dangling by its tail from a fist. I stood up, spun around, and there he was, Loincloth Man. What Tom did not mention was that Loincloth Man was totally hot. He was somewhere in his late 30s, had a ripped, lean, savagely tan bod, and shaggy brown hair with a matching beard. He fit the part perfectly, modern-day Tarzan, slayer of buffalo and ladies alike, which, stunning as he was, instantly made him a little bit suspect in my mind. That and the fact that his loincloth was impeccably tailored and appeared to be made out of soft Italian leather, not some ratty canyon rabbit. Would you mind handing that to me so I can have a closer look at it, please? His whole deal was just a little too cliche. Couldn't he have just worn shorts? And was he really going to eat that squirrel? Still, he gathered around Still, we gathered around him like a baby pig at the state fair, awestruck by our luck. This time there was no argument. We had clearly found our creature of the day. Should I finish this page?
Yes, please.
He was real friendly and answered all of our questions at a slow, deliberate pace, explaining that this and several of the neighboring canyon systems were where he made his home. He told us very matter-of-factly that he found modern society unnecessarily complicated and misguided, so much so that he preferred to live on only what nature provided him, storing his grain in the winter and sleeping in a cave. The thing that struck me more than the fact that he cut his hair with a sharp rock and probably wasn't wearing any undies was that he was totally unapologetic. There we all were, shifting around, feeling suddenly ridiculous in our expensive hiking boots and UV protective clothing, while he described how it took him weeks to whittle the bow and arrow he used to kill the deer whose hides now serve as his bedspread. Good for him, I thought as I watched him walk away, swinging his squirrel like a purse. He wasn't worrying about what he should be doing or what he was missing out on or what some chick from LA thought of his fancy crotch pelt. He was just happy being true to himself in the moment, in the middle of nowhere. I want to be like Loincloth Man. Love yourself, no matter who you really are.
All right. Part 3, how to tap into the mother lode. Woohoo! All right, here we go.
Your chapter,
Chapter-
Randy.
Go ahead, right?
I
All
said,
right,
I said it's your chapter.
yep.
Tapping
All right,
into the mother load.
Chapter 10, Meditation 101. You are never alone or helpless. The force that guides the stars guides you too. Oh, that gave me chills. And there's no way I can pronounce that name. All right, meditation, otherwise known as sitting still and thinking about nothing, is one of those things that can be just as stupidly simple as it is surprisingly hard. It reminds me of those contests where a bunch of people stand around a brand new car or truck, and whoever leaves their hands on it the longest gets to take it home. The winner winds up on the front page of her local paper, victorious and sleepy, smiling from behind the wheel of her newly won ride with a thumbs up for the camera. Terrytown's very own Jill Boinder was the proud winner of the 2012 Chevy Standoff held in Green Bay, Wisconsin this past weekend. Jill beat out 68 other contestants from around the country by standing for 173 hours and 9 minutes in the Home Depot parking lot. She really wanted that car. With her hands placed with unyielding determination on the hood of what would soon be her new Chevy Silverado. I'm so excited I won, she said. There was some stiff competition, some folks who I thought would never back down, but I really brought my A game. With meditation, the simplicity is equally misleading. That's all I have to do is connect to source energy, sit there and do nothing. It can't be that easy. Well, it is, and it's not, which is why it's called a meditation practice. When you shut up and meditate for even 5 minutes and start to really notice the thoughts that are swirling around in your brain, it's rather eliminating. If you're like most people, the majority of your thoughts are about as valuable and as interesting as a bunch of 2-year-olds fighting over a sippy cup. The goal is to quiet your mind of the chatter so you can connect to source energy and instead listen to your inner guidance. I'm going to give you the breakdown of how to meditate, but first I want to recommend that you start small and work your way up. Try meditating for 5 or 10 minutes each day at first, and add on time as you get less squirmy. There's no right way or wrong way to do this. No set time amount or set amount of time. No correct things to feel. No rules about how you have to sit or where you have to do it. All that matters is that you do it if you want to massively improve your life. It's like drinking lots of water or exercising regularly or not bad mouthing other people. You don't have to do it, and the temptation to blow it off is extremely large. But if you make a habit of it, not only will you start to crave it, but your entire life will change. And that's an understatement. Because when we meditate, we practice getting into the vortex and connecting to source energy. I'll go ahead and finish these out, which automatically brings us in the present moment, raises our frequency, insert the emotional scale, opens us up to receive unlimited information and ideas, relaxes us, relieves stress, strengthens our intuition and ability to focus, allows us to hear our inner voice more clearly, fills us with light and love, puts us in a good mood, helps us love ourselves. Meditating and being in the vortex is like riding the airstream of awesomeness. Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. Melissa, you want to, I'm sorry, Yvonne, do you want to go or do you want me to keep going? I didn't.
Next.
Okay.
Here are the extremely short and simple steps of some different ways to meditate. Basic meditation. Sit in a comfortable cross-legged position on the floor or in a chair with your hands on your knees or in your lap. Sit up straight and relax your entire face, especially your jaw and your forehead. Close your eyes, or if it helps you focus and not fall asleep, keep them open and gaze softly at a spot on the ground a couple feet in front of you. Focus on your breathing. Notice it moving in and out of your body. You don't have to breathe in any special way. Just focus on it. Gently release any thoughts that come into your brain and refocus on your breathing. Keep your mind as clear and empty as possible and listen for intuitive hits that may or may not come through. Ta-da! That's it. Options and suggestions. 1, set a timer. You've got enough distracting thoughts without checking the clock to see how long you've been at it every 30 seconds. 2, light a candle and focus on it. Sometimes having a place to rest your eyes can help you get centered and in the zone. Sit and face a candle that you place on the floor in front of you while you meditate and see if that works for you. 3, imagine a bright beam of light shooting down from the sky, shining in through the top of your head, running through your entire body, out your bottom and up to the sky again so that it makes a complete circle. I sometimes find this easier to focus on than the ever popular breath method. Plus, it fills me up with energy and light and makes me feel more deeply connected to source energy. 4, use a mantra. Sometimes when the squirrels in my head are particularly active, I bring in a mantra to chase them out. I repeat a word or phrase in my mind, like love or thank you or yes, please, or something that makes me feel good and is fairly neutral. But you could use a mantra like meatloaf, I guess, if that's your thing. Try and do it first thing in the morning so you're not distracted by whatever the day brings. You'll also be more connected having just woken up from sleeping. 6, if there's something in your life that you're working on or through, you can set an intention, ask for help during your meditation practice. Meditating is about receiving information from the universe. Setting intentions and praying are about sending information out to the universe. There are 2 ways you can do this. A, start with a question, something like, how do I deal with my pain in the ass teenage son? And see what, if any, answers download while you meditate. Or B, meditate first, open up the channel, clear out the chatter, and then ask your question in a space of clarity and connection and see what, if anything, comes to you.
Thank you. Sabrina, did you want to turn?
Yes, thanks. Guided meditation. There are countless CDs and DVDs that various hippies and guru types have made over the years to walk you through meditations. I suggest taking the guided route when you're first starting out. If you're having trouble wrangling your mind into submission, they make great training wheels, and I still use them occasionally, especially if I want to focus on something specific. There are also guided meditation centers all over the place, and it's really nice once in a while to meditate in a group. You can really feed off that energy and get the discipline to sit there for an extended period of time. Do a search for meditation centers and ashrams in your area. Sometimes yoga studios hold guided meditations too. Chanting. Chanting is also a great way to get into a meditative state. You can repeat a mantra over and over out loud on your own, or if you prefer to avoid getting busted and very possibly ridiculed, you can do it in a group by attending a Kirtan meditation class. Kirtan, sorry if I'm misspelling or mispronouncing that. Kirtan meditation involves call and response chanting of Sanskrit mantras or devotional songs, and you can attend classes at a yoga studio or meditation center. Also check out Transcendental Meditation Instruction, a form that involves repeating mantras and sitting twice a day for around 20 minutes at a time. I've had some pretty profound experiences while meditating. I've seen the walls melt around me, felt like I was levitating, and have experienced such a state of euphoria that it almost hurt. I've also had extremely unprofound experiences. I've fallen asleep, spent the entire time squirming and thinking about what to make for lunch, and have been totally in the zone, and then realized I was in the zone and thought, awesome, I'm in the zone, thereby pulling myself out of the zone. The important thing is that you keep showing up, even if you're only in the zone for one collective minute out of the 30 minutes you've been sitting there. It will eventually start making a notable difference in your life. I think meditation is even more essential now that we have all this technology at our fingertips and distraction has become a way of life. While I truly believe that we as a species are becoming more and more conscious, I'm amazed by how at the same time our attention spans are rapidly shrinking. I was playing tennis the other day with someone who got a text, pulled out his phone and checked it in the middle of a point. It's astonishing that we can still speak in full sentences aside from one of the most powerful tools in our consciousness raising toolbox. Meditation is a much needed respite from the madness. We will help us becoming a bunch of scatterbrained ding-dongs as we zoom around our brave and extremely exciting new world.
Thank you. My turn. Chapter 11, Your Brain is Your Bitch.
I'm
Mind is the master power that molds and makes, and man is mind, and evermore he takes. The tool of thought, and shaping what he wills, brings forth 1,000 joys, 1,000 ills. He thinks in secret, and it comes to pass. Environment is but his looking glass. James Allen, old-timey author, self-help pontificator. How often do you stop and notice how genius our universe is? With all its moving parts and mathematical perfection and chemical reactions and food chains and gravity and all the magnificent efficiency and complexity that makes it up. This display of astonishing brilliance didn't just splat down into beingness by random dumb luck. It was thought up. Nature is a smoothly running machine created by a universal intelligence where nothing goes to waste. It all has a place and a purpose, and it all works together in its intricately interwoven and compatible way to create the flabbergasting isness of it all. She makes up so many words. In other words, source energy is a smarty pants. As British philosophical writer and self-help pioneer James Allen states in the quote that opens this chapter, mind is the master power that molds and makes, and man is mind. We are the very thinking substance that we use to create us. Hello, how major is that? This is why positive thinking is all the rage and negative subconscious beliefs are so gnarly, and why meditation and learning to guide your thoughts and love yourself can change your life. Our thoughts are the most powerful tools we've got. I think, therefore, I can create awesomeness or horrendousness. But the bottom line is that it's through our thoughts that we create our realities. It's also why buying into whatever illusion you're living in the present moment is selling yourself so short if it's anything less than what you truly desire. You created the reality you now exist in with your thoughts, which means you can use the very same power of thought to change it. As Wallace Wattles, author of The Science of Getting Rich, so brilliantly states, to think what you want to think is to think the truth regardless of appearances. To think what you want to think is to think truth. Is that not the best news ever? It doesn't matter what your reality looks like at the moment, because where you desire to be is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And if you fixate your mind on this truth, believe that it is real and already here, and take decisive action, it will manifest itself. This is where most people dig in their heels and say something like, I'm sitting in my ghetto-ass kitchen eating tuna out of a can with a plastic spoon, and you're telling me this isn't the truth? You're saying that the truth is that I'm hanging poolside with the President of the United States of America? If you truly desire to hang poolside with the President of the United States of America and are hell-bent in your mind and your actions to create it, it's the truth. Have you ever thought how a bunch of people can go through the same course, let's say a class on how to start your own coaching business, and they all get the exact same information and tools, but some will come out of there and totally rock it, and others will fall flat on their faces? Even if they all have the same desire to succeed, create beautiful marketing materials, and do similar things, it's the ones with the proper mindsets who will succeed. The ones who kick ass are the ones who can see themselves kicking ass, who truly believe in themselves and what they're selling, who remind themselves how much they want to better people's lives with their coaching, who are excited to get compensated for selling it and have no limiting subconscious beliefs holding them back. The ones who feel weird or who worry that they're being pushy or annoying or who subconsciously believe that they don't deserve to, or can't succeed, they're not going to do so good. Your thoughts and beliefs dictate your reality, so if you want to change your reality, you have to change your beliefs. The problem is that most people are real protective of their beliefs and are usually fairly crotchety should you suggest that perhaps there's another version of the truth. I'm bad at sales. I have terrible luck. I'm scared of flying. Marriages don't last. I have ugly feet. I'm broke. Are you calling me a liar? Do you see a hot boyfriend on my arm? No, you don't. You see a cat on my lap next to my needlepoint project because I stink at relationships. That is the truth, and that always has been the truth, and that will be your truth as long as you choose to think it. As long as you feed the beast, it shall live. Debbie.
The moment you have the audacity to start believing in the not yet seen, your reality will begin to shift. The following is hugely important, so please pay very close attention. You have to change your thinking first, and then the evidence appears. Our big mistake is that we do it the other way around. We demand to see the evidence before we believe it to be true. Remember, everything you desire is right here, right now. You just have to shift your perception in order to see it made manifest. Okay, fine. I believe that. I'm hanging poolside with the President of the United States of America. Now what? Do I just call? Or show up at the White House in my flip-flops with a towel around my neck? When you take the leap and believe in the not yet seen, you aren't supposed to know how to make it happen, because if you knew how, you probably would have done it already. This is about radically changing your reality. So the way to go about it is also most likely outside of your present awareness. Your job isn't to know the how, it's to know the what and to be open to discovering and receiving the how. Keep your thoughts directed at your goal. Do everything that you know how to do to make it happen. Decide with unwavering determination that it will happen and be on the lookout for the opportunity. I had a client who went to Tuscany and looked at a house that was for sale while she was there. At the time, she was a bartender and a poet and could barely scrape together the money to buy a plane ticket to Italy, let alone to buy a Tuscan villa. But she checked it out anyway and completely fell in love with the place. While she instantly knew in her soul that it was her house, she also knew that her bank account had tumbleweeds blowing through it. But she asked the owners to take it off the market anyway because she was going to figure out a way to buy it. So she flies home in a stupor, thinking that perhaps she has gone completely insane, but she sticks to her guns and starts asking around for ideas. She is almost immediately buried beneath a pile of warnings from everyone around her. It's a huge responsibility, not to mention all the complications that come with being in another country. And last time I checked, you didn't speak Italian, nor are you a citizen, nor do you know a single thing about home ownership. And considering you can't even afford to get your teeth cleaned, how are you planning on paying a mortgage and yada, yada, yada? Yet she keeps on going because in spite of all the evidence otherwise, she believes this is her house. This is her truth. Finally, someone mentions the idea of pre-renting blocks of time in the house to raise the money to buy it. People could pay for their time in a year in advance. She would just need to sell enough blocks of time to pay for the house, and voila. Cut to her discovering the sort of thing is illegal, going back to the drawing board, trying a million other things, discovering that it's actually not illegal, then pre-selling enough rental slots and borrowing some money, and to make a very long and ups and downsy short story short, she's owned the villa for several years and is thinking about buying another. You have to get a handle on your thoughts if you want to change your life. As Albert Einstein so aptly noted, the world as we have created, it is a process of our thinking. It cannot be changed without changing our thinking. Here are some tried and true ways to show your brain who's driving the bus. Anna.
Okay. Number 1, ask and it is given. Get quiet, get in the zone, and get in touch with source energy. Clear out the chatter in your brain and create a clean, uncluttered space to impress the thoughts of what you want into the giant thinking substance that is source energy. Ask for what you want. Send out a nice, clear message in a nice, clear space and begin the manifestation process. Number 2, act as if. If you want something badly, even if you don't have any evidence that it's possible for you to attain, believe it is anyway. Fake it until you make it. Do it in spite of yourself. Act as if. If you have an intense, undying desire to hang poolside with the President of the United States of America, think about the things that a person hanging poolside with the leader of the free world would do. Go pick out the bathing suit you're going to wear. Think of what you're going to talk about. Get your photos of your trip to the Grand Canyon together to show the commander-in-chief. Get ready for the event. Tell yourself it's happening. Act like it's happening. Put yourself in situations where you will meet people who can make this happen. Stay wide open to opportunities that can lead you to your goal. Live, eat, sleep, and breathe your vision. You may feel like a crazy person, but you won't when you're playing Marco Polo with the Prez and Debbie. Upgrade your environment. If you aspire to have a more up-leveled and inspiring lifestyle than you presently have, and you're actively visualizing this for yourself, it's going to be quite a struggle to keep your thoughts large and in charge if every time you pull up to your rickety-ass home, you hear the Sanford and Son theme song start up in your head. So even though you're going to be thinking and imagining the change before it happens, do what you can to make some upgrades to where you're at now. Give the place a paint job and clean it up. Get new furniture or fix up what you already have. Throw out the clutter. Let some air in. Hang inspiring art on the walls. This will not only help to keep your frequency high, but it will alert the universe that you're not screwing around, that you're doing everything you can and are waiting for further instruction on the how. Shall I go on? Number 4, make a vision board. Our minds think in images. If someone says a horse wearing red lipstick, you instantly create a picture in your mind of a horse wearing red lipstick. Feeding your mind full of images of the things and experiences that you want to manifest. Your dream house with the infinity pool in Mexico, rolling around on the beach with your red hot lover, volunteering to help little kids learn how to read at your local library, laughing your face off surrounded by dear friends, is hugely powerful because your mind sends that image out to source energy, which begins the process of pulling it in. Cut out pictures of places, people, things, and experiences that you want in your life. Paste them onto a board and hang it somewhere where you will see it all day long. I've seen people have completely insane results with this. They've manifested down to the tiniest details, the exact home or piece of furniture or place of employment that they put on their board. It's freaky deaky and super easy. It's like having a craft day with God. Give it a shot. Number 5, surround yourself with people who think the way you want to think. When you hang out with whiners, pessimists, tweakers, bleakers, freakers, outers, and life is so unfairers, it's an uphill climb to keep yourself in a positive headspace. Stay away from people with tiny minds and tiny thoughts, and start hanging out with people who see limitless possibilities as the reality. Surround yourself with people who act on their big ideas, who take action on making positive change in the world, and who see nothing as out of their reach. Make a conscious choice to do this. And if you don't know anyone who's got a big fat mind, go out and make some new friends. If you stop at, there's no one like that around here, that will be the truth and will set the wimpy tone for how you go about trying to manifest everything else into your life. How you do one thing is how you do everything. Get out there and find some people who make you feel like you can leap tall buildings in a single bound. Be clear on whom you want to meet and make a concerted effort to go meet them. Demand of the universe to connect you with them. Think of places where they might hang out or things they would do and insert yourself there. Being around inspired, visionary, enthusiastic people who are living their truths is one of the fastest ways to massively transform your life. 6, love yourself, unless you have a better idea.
All right. Chapter 12, lead with your crotch. In the begin in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the experts, there are few. I know the big saying is youth is wasted on the young, but I think in certain respects anyway, we've really got it going on in our late teens or early 20s. Aside from all the angst and drama and escorts home from the police, we've still got our little kid like ability to create just because still firmly intact. But we've also got this newly hatched adult ability to make big things happen in our lives. Add to this the fact that we're not yet jaded by a long list of failures and are still under the vague impression that death is something that happens to other people. We, if we're anything like me, leap into our lives when we're young with an idiotic yet awesome disregard for what ifs. That was a long sentence. Admittedly, I remember doing things in the danger department that still have me sleeping with my light on when I think about them now. Hanging out in sketchy parts of town with even sketchier people, stowing away on trains, taking enough LSD in one sitting to keep an entire village staring at their hands for hours, hiking off into the deserts with no water, no map, and a canteen full of gin and tonics. My first priority being fun, with thoughts of the consequences trailing somewhere, if at all, far off in the distance. But I also remember diving into my creative pursuits with the same reckless obliviousness and, as a result, getting utterly spectacular and thrilling results, which is why I find it so odd to hear people say, if I knew then what I know now, I'm not sure I would have done it. Well, thank God you didn't know. If that's your lame-o attitude, you'd be sitting next to a pile of empty beer cans, whining about how you missed out on going for your dreams if you did. The problem is that once you're older and wiser, many people trade in life fully in their purpose for more grown-up versions of life that range from the merely passable to the full-on sucking. They've bought into this idea that being responsible equals not having fun anymore, that waking up feeling excited about your life is for the young, and once we're older, we need to trade that in, settle down, and be more realistic. Yawn. I'm not talking about being an irresponsible jerk or doing the same things we did when we were younger, but I'm talking about continuously living our dreams, no matter what stage of life we're in, instead of settling for mediocrity because we don't believe anything else is available or appropriate. We only get to be in our bodies for a limited time. Why not celebrate the journey instead of merely writing it out until it's over? Wow, that's powerful. We're still allowed to dream, and our dreams are still available to us. But as we move through life, we must make the conscious effort to overcome whatever judgments we have, as well as kick all our fears from past experiences in the head and participate in our own badassery, whatever that looks like for us. We must focus on the positive instead of the list of negatives we've created over time, and keep that focus regardless of what flies in our faces. And one of the best ways to do this is by reconnecting with our inner kids. I know how unacceptably dorky this may sound, but just stay with me here. Even though you're now most likely turned on by different things than you were as a youngster, you can still learn a lot from how you went about life in the old days. So think about it. Was there ever a time where you felt totally in your groove? where you created and did stuff just because it was fun without worrying about the outcome? Where you couldn't wait to wake up in the morning and go do your thing? This could mean anything from when you were a little kid running around with a maxi pad stuck to your eye, pretending to be a pirate, to your senior year in high school when you got voted class clown for repeatedly charming your way past the ladies in the front office to make fake announcements over the loudspeaker to that summer you learned to play the guitar without looking at your hands. When were you most turned on by life? And if you have yet to feel this way, stay tuned. And what can you learn from those experiences? For me, one of the most exciting and on purpose times in my life was when I was the singer guitarist in a band called Crotch. I use the terms singer, guitarist, and band all very loosely because we in Crotch weren't concerned with things like learning to play our instruments or practicing or any of that snootery musicianship crap. We had bigger fish to fry, like talking in loud voices about our band and checking ourselves out in plate glass windows as we walked by with guitars strapped to our backs, electric ones. I started Crotch with this chick from work named Paula, who'd never picked up a guitar in her life either, and who was as incapable of embracing her feminine side as I was. Paula and I were the kind of young ladies who prided ourselves on the wattage of our stereo equipment, our firm handshakes, and our ability to drink anyone in the room under the table. The testosterone fueled chip on my shoulder came from a high school career spent futilely awaiting a timely puberty while standing a good foot taller than everyone on earth, all the boys at my high school included. None of them ever asked me out, but I could make them laugh and kick their asses at basketball. So rather than fail at seducing them, I simply became one of them. Paula's issues were more homicidal in nature. She was the kind of angry found in highly intelligent women who developed the body of a Playboy bunny by the age of 13 and are forced to grow up in the deep redneck South. Within the first few months of starting the band, she traded in her long raven locks for an fire engine red buzz cut and covered her arms and back with tattoos of flames and dragons. We decided that as the tough one, she would play bass while I, the desperate for attention one, would be on guitar, and that my little brother, Stephen, the malleable one, would play drums. Only until we find another drummer, I promised him, as I attempted to plug my guitar into the wrong part of my amp. Stephen has played the drums since he was 5, and is the kind of younger brother every bossy old sister dreams of, talented and endlessly enthusiastic with a very high threshold for pain. The great tragedy of Crotch was that underneath our sneers and our bravado, we were two sweet girls who desperately wanted boyfriends. But we had issues that we decided were best worked out while drunk and sometimes naked on stage. Oh, God. Paula and I, baffled by our lack of gentleman callers, chose to express our disappointment by writing and singing songs like Sew Me Up, I've Had Enough, and by yelling things into the microphone between songs that one evening would inspire an audience member to rush the stage holding a chair over his head with intent to beat us with it. In spite of ourselves, we quickly acquired quite the following. In less than a year's time, we also wrote, produced, directed, and starred in a film about the record industry, wrote, directed, and starred in a music video that got on national television, recorded an EP, got a demo deal with Columbia Records, and even learned a couple more chords. And we did it with full-time corporate jobs and no idea what we were doing. It was fun with a capital F. There's nothing as unstoppable as a freight train full of fuck yeah. That's cool. If you've ever known what it's like to be in your groove and are having trouble finding your own right now, think back to your attitude and what your priorities were when you were totally lit up about life, and use them to help you give the clarity and the kick in the rear end you need now. Here are some nuggets of wisdom I gleaned from the crotch days that I still find useful. I don't remember who's next.
Actor. One, just see what you can get away with. Life is, I'm just gonna say, ridiculous. It so seriously is. We have no freaking idea what we're even doing here, spinning around on this globe in the middle of this solar system with who the hell knows what out there beyond it. Making a big fat deal out of anything is absurd. It makes much more sense to go after life with a sense of why not instead of a furrowed brow. One of the best things I ever did was make my motto. I just want to see what I can get away with. It takes all the pressure off, puts the punk rock attitude in, and reminds me that life is but a game. Yes, we have bigger responsibilities and more pressure as adults. But come on, folks, I guarantee you there are countless people with way more to whine about there than you who are totally kicking ass because they decided to go for it instead of sitting around in the wet pant load of their own excuses. Take a new approach to what you're doing and try this on. I just want to see if I can start my own successful business. I just want to see if I can get myself out of debt and make $100,000 more this year. I just want to see if I can lose 100 pounds. I just want to see if I can sell one of my paintings for 50 grand. I just want to see if I can meet my soulmate. Take the pressure off and get back in on the adventure. 2, lose track of time. Have you ever been doing something and suddenly realized that hours have gone by without you noticing? What does that for you? And how often during your day does this happen? When you're so lost in what you're doing that you lose all sense of time. You have officially entered the vortex. You want to get your ass in there as much as possible. So look at your life and figure out how you can make that happen. First, figure out the things you get lost in your business and your personal life. Then figure out how you can be doing more of those things more of the time. Hire someone, no excuses, and delegate the tasks you hate doing. Partner up with someone who's good at it and enjoys doing the things you're not that into, so you can be freed up to do more of what you want. If you have to, make massive changes in your business and your personal life to include more time doing what you love. Figure it out. Don't just hand your life over to your circumstances like a little wuss. You can take your life wherever you want it to go. So grab it by its neither reaches and make doing the things you love a priority. 3, keep being the beginner. One of the best things about starting a band when you have no idea how to play your instrument is that you don't care if you stink because you already know you do. Then once you learn how to play, you get all serious. You become overly critical and hard on yourself and don't let yourself have nearly as much fun anymore. The trick is to let the beginner live alongside the expert. Instead of pretending you don't know who she is when she tries to sit with you and your new, cooler, more experienced friends in the cafeteria, the beginner may be an idiot, but she knows how to party. And if you don't let her play with you anymore, things risk getting rather droll around here. So hone your skills, take your craft seriously, learn what you need to learn, invest in yourself, practice your ass off, fall down, get up, keep going, get really, 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 really good at what you do, but don't lose the fun in the process. Because, like, what's the point of doing all that work then? The only thing you need to do is do the very best you can. Once you've done that, the only other thing that matters is that you enjoy yourself. 4, love yourself, and the bluebirds of happiness will be your permanent backup singers.
Thank you. Anna, you want to turn? Are you taking a break?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Chapter 13, Give and Let Give. It is one of the beautiful compensations in this life that no one can sincerely try to help another without helping himself. Ralph Waldo Emerson, American poet, essayist, visionary, giver. One day while driving somewhere with my family, we stopped off at a store along the way and told my niece, then 5 years old, that she could get herself a little something. She came up to the register with a 6-pack of orange Tic Tacs and charmed her way into getting the whole thing instead of being told to put it back and just buy one. So we get back in the car and I ask her if I can have a pack, my only intent to teach the greedy little piglet a thing or two about sharing. Of course, she says, and hands it over. Of course, she says, and hands it over. She then asks, in her itty bitty 5-year-old voice, if my brother and my mom want one too, and hands them over. My niece then takes her remaining 3 packs and places them on the seat next to her in a pile, saying, and when we get home, this one's for my brother, this one's for my sister, this one's for my mom. Then she sits there with none left for herself and smiles, more excited to give them away than she was when she was told she could buy them for herself. I shot a confused look at my brother, Stephen, her father, and he mouthed back, freak. When Stefan and I were her age, we cherished nothing more than the tortured cries of the other. He set my gerbils free in the backyard. I stole his Halloween candy and ate it, piece by piece, sitting on his chest while he screamed. Who was this saintly creature in the back seat, and where did she learn that? As my niece so clearly understood, giving is one of our greatest joys. It's also one of the most fearless and powerful gestures there is. When we trust that we live in an abundant universe and allow ourselves to give freely, we raise our frequency, strengthen our faith, and feel awesome, thereby putting ourselves in flow and the position to receive abundant amounts in return. When you're in fear, we hold on to what we've got because we don't trust that there's more. We pinch off the energy. We're scared to share, and we focus on and create more of the very thing we're hoping to avoid, which is lack. We live in a universe of give and receive, breathe and exhale, live and die, suck and awesome. Each side depends on the other, and each is relative to the other. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So the more you give, the more you receive, and vice versa. You may be thinking that's so not true. I know some bitches who do nothing but take and haven't given a damn thing to anybody ever, but receiving has a different energy than selfishly taking, just as smothering has a different energy than giving. Smothering and taking are fear-based and needy. Giving and receiving are full of gratitude and surrendering to the flow. Should I continue?
I've been losing track of how many pages. Yeah, you could read another page.
Okay. I know someone who has multiple sclerosis who was told by a mentor to give away 29 things for 29 days as part of her cure. She blew it off for a while, but as her condition worsened, she finally decided to give it a try. First, she gave a phone call to a sick friend to see how she was doing. Then she steadily gave away something every day, and she almost instantly found herself more joyful and excited. By the 14th day, she was significantly better physically. Her business started booming, and she went on to create a blog that started a movement with tens of thousands of followers who were also giving things away daily. Her blog ultimately led to a New York Times best-selling book called 29 Gifts. If you want to attract good things and feelings into your life, send awesomeness out to everyone around you. Here are some good ways to get in the give and take flow. Yo. 1, if you haven't already, pick 1 or 2 causes that have real meaning to you and give to them every month. Give however much time or money you can, but do it consistently so it becomes a habit, so it becomes part of who you are. Even $5 a month counts. 2, give one of your favorite things in the world away to someone who would totally love it. And if you can, do it without them knowing where it came from. 3, leave $1 more than you normally would every time you tip, or 10. 4, if someone is being snarky, instead of sinking to their level and being snarky back, raise them up by giving them the love. Should I just finish?
Yep.
Number 5, smile, compliment, and crack people up as often as possible. 6, say yes to invitations that you wouldn't normally say yes to because you hate to inconvenience the person offering. Take them up on it. Give them the opportunity to give to you. Number 7, stop and feel in your body how great it feels when you give and receive. Raise your frequency and expect more good things to come your way. Number 8, love yourself, and everybody benefits.
I love that. I love that she always ends it like that. Is it my turn? Chapter 14. This will be the last chapter we read tonight. Gratitude, the gateway drug to awesomeness. When you are grateful, fear disappears and abundance appears. Anthony Robbins, author, speaker, motivator, life changer. Love Anthony Robbins. When I was a little kid, my parents made my brothers and sister and I answer the phone in this very formal way. Jennifer Sincero speaking, as if between fighting over who got to play with the big wheel and stuffing balloons down our pants, we were all running our own private concierge businesses. Their friends would gush on the other end of the phone about what a polite bunch the Sincero kids were, and I thought nothing of it until the day I made my very first phone call to a friend, and upon hearing her answer, gripped the phone in wide-eyed disbelief. You get to say hello? Do your parents know? It was as unthinkable to me as the time as saying the F word or sitting down to join my parents for a glass of scotch. My amazement quickly turned to horror when I realized it wasn't just that one renegade friend who could answer the phone in such a carefree manner, but everyone, and that my parents were clearly playing some big practical joke on us. Our objections were met with the standard, when you pay your own phone bill, you can answer it any way you'd like. So the years passed, our indignation slowly getting watered down by habit. I don't remember exactly when the mutiny happened, but eventually we all started answering the phone like normal human beings. I'm going to assume it was around the time of their divorce, when Mom had all 4 of us mostly to herself, either in or hovering around high school, and phone rules got bulldozed in her switch to combat mode. The demand for manners in general, however, was left firmly standing, and no matter how wild and wasted we got, we always remained those polite, sincero kids. Can I help you, officer? Thank you, officer. Yes, sir, that is my marijuana. Not only are the words please and thank you ingrained in me like the recipe for my Italian father's red sauce, or the knowledge that it's not cool to kill people, but being polite just always seemed to be such a no-brainer. Aside from the fact that it makes you feel like a good person, people will usually do what you ask them to do if you're nice about it. And if you're not, they won't. Hello? Which is why it completely baffles me when anyone over the age of 5 is rude, and especially when they refrain from the thank you part of the conversation when a gesture is made on their behalf, either by me or other people or the universe in general. I don't know about you, but when someone doesn't say thank you after I've hooked them up, it's as glaring an omission to me as if they've shown up without their pants on, and the universe feels the same way. You cut yourself off from the supply of awesomeness when you are not in a state of gratitude. Having gratitude goes way beyond just having good manners. However, manners are a form of custom. Gratitude is a state of being. Anyone can whip out their P's and Q's, whether they're feeling it or not. But truly being in a state of gratitude is about having an awareness of and a deep appreciation for the many miracles in your life. Think about how it feels when you get to really thank someone for doing something for you. You feel great for receiving whatever it is you received and for sending thanks out to them. And they feel great for giving you whatever they gave and for being appreciated, which makes you feel great again, which makes them feel great again. You could basically spend the rest of your lives passing thank you notes back and forth, and because it makes you feel good to be in such a state of gratitude, it puts you at a very high frequency and connects you to source energy, which puts you in a more powerful state to manifest more good feeling things and experiences into your life. Conversely, when you show up disappointed or angry or guilty or oblivious, instead of being grateful, you're at a lower frequency and thereby less connected to source energy and in a less powerful state to manifest good feeling things and experiences into your life. So that's all fabulous and great, but here's where the whole gratitude thing gets really cool. There are lots of ways to feel good and raise your frequency and get closer to source energy. But with gratitude, you're actually expending positive energy by sending out thanks, which makes positive energy reflect back to you. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. This makes the manifesting process even more powerful. Debbie, your turn.
Oh, whoops. Sorry, I didn't realize my picture was off. It's like the difference between seeing someone fall apart laughing and seeing them fall apart laughing at something you said. The first usually makes you feel as good and laugh as hard as they do, which raises your frequency. But with the second situation, you're not just meeting them at a high frequency, you're exchanging energy at a high frequency. Their laughter is like your way of thanking you for saying something hilarious, and it gives off an even more powerful zing and stronger connection. As Wallace Wattles explains the science of getting rich, you cannot exercise much power without gratitude, for it is gratitude that keeps you connected with power. You are practically powerless without gratitude. Them's is some pretty big words, Wattles. When you actively send this grateful energy out, you receive it back, bringing you closer and closer to source energy and raising your frequency higher and higher with each exchange until you come to the visceral understanding that you are the same stuff as source energy and that you consciously or unconsciously manifested your reality yourself out of the infinite nothingness and everythingness. Gratitude connects you to the truth that you not only have the power to manifest that which you seek, but you are the power, which means, in essence, when you are being grateful to source energy, you are being grateful to yourself, which brings it back to the most powerful thing of all, self-love. Ta-da! The more consistently you stay in gratitude and focused on that which is good, the stronger your connection to source energy is, and the more quickly and effortlessly you'll be able to manifest that which is unseen into your reality. This is the almighty power of gratitude. But wait, there's more. Gratitude also strengthens your faith. Faith is having the audacity to believe in the not yet seen. Faith is the muscle you use when you decide to blast outside of your comfort zone and transform your life into something that's practically unrecognizable to you in your present reality. Faith smothers your fear of the unknown. Faith allows you to take risks. Faith is the stuff of leap, and the net will appear. Faith is your best buddy when you're scared shitless. I almost hesitated to swear. When you are consistently in a state of gratitude and aware of all the awesomeness that already exists, it, among many other things, makes it much easier for you to believe that there's more awesomeness where that came from, and that this yet to be manifested awesomeness is also available to you. You've received awesomeness before, so of course you can receive awesomeness again. This is how gratitude strengthens your faith, and having strong faith is a major key in transforming your life. Which brings me to the grand gratitude finale. If you want to be a real rock star in the manifestation department, get to the point where you have both unwavering faith and unwavering gratitude for that which you desire. This is when the real magic happens, because mixing faith with gratitude is the high holy moly of it manifesting. This takes some Jedi mastery, however, because basically what it entails is not only believing in the not yet manifested, having faith, but being grateful for it. In other words, you must be grateful for your imaginary friends and your imaginary life. Yep. As ridiculous as this sounds, I'm sure you're already doing it consciously or unconsciously in some capacity in your life. One simple example from my life would be with finding parking spaces. For as long as I can remember, I've always gotten stellar parking spots right out front of whatever I'm going. I don't care if I'm trying to park in front of the Pope's house on Easter Sunday. If you don't want to walk, you'll be wanting to ride it with me. I always approach the hunt for a parking spot with the same attitude, a knowing and relaxed certainty that it's done deal. The perfect spot is mine. It already exists, and I'm genuinely so happy and grateful for it. I really, truly believe this. Then, as always, someone pulls out and I go in. Yet, as consistently as this happens, I'm still always so excited when it does. I never take it for granted, and I am a gratitude machine before, during, and after my guaranteed excellent parking adventure. Being in gratitude for the not yet manifested informs the universe that you know that what you desire already exists and puts you at the right frequency to receive it. If you want to radically change your life, strengthen your faith that we live in an abundant, benevolent universe by being grateful for everything you've already manifested and all the good that's hurtling towards you. Be grateful that you have the power to manifest any reality you desire, and then leap into the void to get to it. Trade in your drama about how you can't have what you want for the grateful expectation that miracles will walk into your life, and the more commonplace those miracles will become. Here are some ways you can practice. Yvonne, did you want to read?
Sure.
Thank you.
One, this is good because whenever anything excellent or mediocre or lame or annoying happens to you, meet it with the statement, this is good because, and fill in the blank. Once you make this a regular practice, you'll see how much easier it is to be in gratitude for much more than you realize. This is good that I got a flat tire on my way home from picking my kids up. I've shown them how to deal in an unexpected situation. Plus, I got to spend some quality time hanging out in the car with them, playing 20 questions while waiting for AAA to show up, which is how I found out that my daughter was getting picked on in school. It's important to look for ways to be grateful for all that you've manifested, even things that you might label under no thanks. If you focus on the negative aspects of the more challenging things in your life, it will just lower your frequency, keep you in pain and resentment, attract more negativity to you, very possibly make you sick, and very definitely make you crabby. If you instead look for ways to be grateful for everything in your life, it not only raises your frequency, but it allows you to grow by opening you up to the lesson. Yes, sometimes this is a tall order, and there are absolutely situations in life that just full on blow and leave us standing there wondering what the hell that was all about. Sometimes it takes years, if ever, before we can look back and say, you know what? I really needed to get my heart broken into 1,000 pieces by that jackass. I'm so much happier with the man I ended up marrying. Finding the good and the lessons in things allows us to move through them and on to new experiences. If you want to stay stuck in the same place and keep getting spanked with the same lessons over and over, be negative, resentful, and victimized. If you want to get over your issues and rock your life, be grateful. Look for the good and learn. 2, write your thank you notes. Every night before you go to bed, review your day and either write down or mentally note 10 things you can be grateful for in your life. These can be everything from the beautiful flowers in your garden to the fact that your heart is beating to the hour-long visit from your persnickety neighbor that taught you to be happy that you don't have her life. Stopping and noticing throughout the day all the things that you can be grateful for is a great way to keep your frequency high at all times. So try and remember to do it all day long, but at the very least, make it part of your evening routine. 3, love yourself. Be grateful for all you are and all that you're becoming.
Thank you. Wow, good job, everybody. That was a lot of reading tonight. We are halfway done, just like that. Halfway done with this book. Is there anything you guys want to talk about before we hop off? Anything that like really stuck out to you and you just want to bring up?
I feel that a lot that we have went over tonight has manifested actually in my life and my fiance's. I can see it in both of ours. So it was really interesting.
That's cool. Thank you for sharing that. Debbie?
I kind of took something out of every single chapter, like chapter 7. What other people think of you is none of your business.
I love that. No, that's one of my favorites.
Chapter 8, find your passion and do it now. Make the things you love doing a priority. And I absolutely love give away 29 things in 29 days. And thank you notes. I always do thank you notes, but I always do thank you notes to others. I need to do thank you notes for myself. So thank you for letting me share.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah, my favorite part of this book, especially like the chapters we read tonight, are all the little like step 1, step 2, step 3, and they always end with love yourself. Like no matter what the topic is. Um yeah, meditation, gratitude. These are all some really impactful practices that I've been implementing the last 4 years since reading this for the first time. And something that I really enjoyed doing is I would take the quotes that stuck out to me and I would put them in back then I used an app called Word Swag, but now I would use Canva and I would just put that quote on a Canva and I'd post it on Facebook. And now every year I get reminded when like the Facebook memories pop up. So a lot of these quotes, I was like, oh, I love that one. Um, all right, you guys. Thanks for being on live. Thanks for reading out loud. We'll see you next Thursday. and I'll see you in the group chat too.
Bye,
Have a
ladies.
great night. Bye, you
Thank
guys.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.